All right, so we are live. Good morning, everyone. I see a lot of attendees are joining us. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. I see you all are trickling in. Great job. So let's go ahead and get started. First and foremost, good morning. Thank you for joining us for the virtual college exploration for all North and South Carolina students. So just a few housekeeping items. This session started promptly at 10 o'clock a.m. and it will end at 10:45 a.m. So again, just wanted to make you all aware of the time. So how do I ask questions? You all should see a Q&A at the bottom of your screen. That is where you will ask all of your questions to our panelists this morning. And so they'll be able to see your questions and answer them for you all. Your camera and microphone are going to be turned off, so you can just leave it off. We do not need to see or hear, so you all can just leave that off. And then, of course, please be sure that you're signing up for more sessions. We have sessions going on this entire week, and you can visit the CACRAO website to sign up for any sessions that you may be interested in. Also, this recording will be available at the www.cacrao.org website. So definitely make sure that you revisit it. We have some awesome presenters today, and I'm very excited to share, or for them to share with you all their knowledge. So without further ado, we will go ahead and let my panelists, my colleagues, introduce themselves, and we'll go ahead and get started. And whoever wants to go ahead and start.
Perfect. I'm just sharing my screen. Good morning, everybody. We're super excited to have you here. Give me a second while I get this all set up. Welcome to our first panel. My name is Paul Laborza. I'm one of the first-year admission coordinators here at UNCW. I'm joined today by Stone and Kanisha, who are going to introduce themselves here just shortly. But we just wanted to say, welcome. We're super excited to have everyone. We know this is not our traditional format of meeting you all, but we hope that we can provide some really great information today about maybe potentially starting your application search, your college search in general, and talking a little bit about our resources that we have available on our websites. But I'll turn it over to Kanisha to introduce herself, as well as Stone.
Good morning, everyone. I am so excited to be with you all virtually. As Paul mentioned, my name is Kanisha Jones. I have the distinct pleasure of serving as an admissions counselor at the East Carolina University, and I'm super, super excited to be here today.
Awesome. And good morning, everyone. My name is Stone Yates. I am an admissions counselor at UNC Greensboro. And as Kanisha said, it's a pleasure to be here with you all today in this virtual setting. So thanks for joining.
All right, fantastic. And I'm going to turn it right over to Kanisha. We each have some general points we want to focus on today about kind of starting your college search with our websites. And we each will highlight a few different components that you can find on all of our websites. But then we'll have some time at the end for some questions as well. So if you do have questions, we ask that you hold on to those until the end of our presentation, and we'll be happy to answer those at that point in time.
All right, so we're going to talk about finding the admissions requirements for our college, as well as exploring majors and programs, and then diving into the student life and athletics of the university. We're going to do that by navigating ECU's website, because of course that is where I'm most familiar, and we'll just highlight a few things. I encourage all of you to follow along. I know you have your smartphones out. Go to admissions.ecu.edu. It will follow along, and you'll know that you're there if you see that advertisement for our fall open house. So I encourage you guys to follow along, because I won't go into depth, but I will show you how to find your destination. So once you click on the apply button, you can use the drop-down menu to indicate freshman. If you click on apply from below, you will see the options to choose your applicant type, as you saw previously. For all of you, you will be considered freshmen, even if you've taken courses at an early college or if you were dual enrolled at a community college. For our institutions, for application purposes, you are considered a freshman. Just a tip, I wanted to highlight there. We have made it really, really easy to find our freshman requirements. You click on freshman, and the first thing that you see is our freshman core requirements. While you are there, you can find, it will give you a navigation tool that will show you information about how to apply. There will be dates and deadlines that you can find on that site, as well as any supplemental notices. I do want to highlight this. On the previous slide that was there, if you click on how to apply, it will go over the 3 ways that we will receive your application, which are very important. In addition, there are some notes that apply only to the fall 2021 cycle. As you guys know, we're not in person this year because of everything that has happened. There's been many impacts due to COVID-19, and that also results in the way that we review our applications and our SAT, ACT requirements. So at ECU, I know you guys may have heard the term test optional, but the more accurate term for us is test blind. And I encourage you, as you're navigating college's website, really take a depth into that. You want to know which institutions are test blind, which ones are test option, how does it affect your chances at honors college. So this is a really great opportunity to really begin navigating. Again, write down those dates and deadlines, and all of that can be found right from this page. So let's explore majors and programs a little bit more. At ECU, we are proud that we're able to offer over 400 degrees and concentrations. However, if you get there, you're like, how do I find them? Once you click on the Explore, it's highlighted at the very top in the red box. Paul, if you go back to the previous slide for me, once you click Explore, you'll have the option to drop down to Academics. This will bring you to our academic page. It will give you a direct link to our Degree Explorer. So maybe you're not quite sure what your major should be, but you know what type of job you want to have. In this search and toolbar, you can type in anything from I want to be a scientist to I want to be a physical therapist, and it will let you know the undergraduate and graduate level programs that are available based off of your interest. So it's a really great tool. I encourage you, regardless of the website, discover and explore their degrees and those options for you. All right, so definitely take advantage of that. One last thing before I move forward, also on our academics page, it will provide you with information related to every college. So at ECU and most institutions, their university is made up of different colleges. By clicking and following through that link, you will find information as it relates to the College of Business, and it could be very specific information that relates to internships or maybe a supplemental application if you're looking at programs such as nursing or engineering. So definitely make sure that you explore the academics page, but also explore the department and the college website for your program. Lastly, and before I turn it over, let's talk about the fun stuff, right? So what does student life look like on a campus? Again, if you click that Explore, that navigation tool at the top of our website is phenomenal. It literally is there on every page on our admission site. You can easily go to the top, drop down, and find where you're looking for. This time you would be choosing student life, and it is going to provide you with information about athletics. At ECU, our students are provided with free tickets to our regular home season games. Sure, it works out similarly at different institutions and universities, but this is the opportunity to explore that information. Also, it will provide you with information on our campus rec and wellness. So maybe you're not looking to compete on the D1 level, but you want to join a club sport. All of this information can be found here right by going to Explore and then clicking or selecting student life.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Karnisha. I also want to kind of transition when Karnisha's talking about, campus life and, those extracurricular opportunities that you can get involved with. Those are going to be existent in all of our institutions as well as any other schools you may apply for. And another one are academic extracurricular opportunities. And so I wanted to touch on finding specific research opportunities that we may have at a number of our different institutions. Kernisha and Stone and I all have very different websites, as you'll probably see, but we have a lot of the same tools on all of our websites. And one that I definitely love using, even as a current staff member, is our search bar, which is in the top right of our homepage. So our homepage is just uncw.edu. And the top of our right-hand side there, you can see the search bar. You can put pretty much anything in here and you'll likely get some results. So it could be student life, it could be majors like Kernisha talked about. But for what I'm going to touch on here is talking about research, okay? A great thing also about UNCW is that we also have research right on our home page. And I don't know if it got cut off here, but on the bottom of our homepage, we have a full research tab. So you can either search it in the top right or click on the tab on our homepage. And what that brings you to is, oh, sorry, backwards, our undergraduate and our research and innovation homepage here, okay? While the extracurricular things are definitely things that you'll want to get involved with, whether that's sports or musical interests, Greek life at any of our institutions, there's also lots of opportunities for academic enrichment, okay? And undergraduate research is not just for maybe your stereotypical things you think about when you hear research. It's not just, science and math and engineering majors, but it could be humanities, it could be foreign language, it could be international studies. So there's lots of opportunities for you to connect with faculty, make some wonderful relationships, and kind of develop your academic career in a great spot. That way, if you're thinking about graduate school or you're thinking about a specific career, you'll have those really in-depth learning opportunities that will help you prepare for those specific programs. All of our websites likely have some of these resources that I'm showing from our website here, but we have specific opportunities for undergraduates as opposed to graduate students interested in research. There's specific scholarships for students that are interested in getting involved with research. Many of our institutions have specific facilities and campuses that might conduct this research. At UNCW, obviously our location, we're on the water, so we have coastal locations as well. So we'd encourage you to kind of check out all of these different things, and whether it's an extracurricular club like sports or research, these are all great things that you can start to think about while you're going through your college application process or college search process to find universities that align with your professional and personal interests. All right, so keep that in mind. And all of these resources, like I say, are available now. And we'd encourage, whether you're a senior, in the midst of your application process, or a junior or sophomore that are just starting, it's a great time to start looking into these specific resources here. Another way I just like to kind of show this as well, again, using the search bar, you might also search for a specific program. I took an example from our psychology department here of all of our faculty and staff. So if you search a specific major at any of our websites, you'll likely find a faculty and staff page for that department. And a lot of the academic research may be listed here. So let's say if you're interested in going into, health psychology, we have a number of our faculty here that are specialized in that. And this might give you an idea of what our what our university kind of is interested in research, specific professors you may want to take classes with down the line, or just network with in general, and that way developing those professional connections. So there's plenty of ways to find specific information about what you could be able to do on campus, especially in an academic sense, amongst all of our different websites here. All right, another important one that I think a lot of people oftentimes have questions is about financial aid and scholarships. And again, I can likely say for most of our websites here that financial aid will be somewhere on the homepage, or at least somewhere close, right? It's a very important part of the college application process. We know that not only you as applicants, but maybe your parents and other people involved in the process are going to have questions about financial aid. Again, you could search financial aid in any of our search bars or click on the links here, and likely you'll be sent to our direct homepage here for tons of resources, again, regarding the financial aid and scholarship realm. A lot of our websites, especially for us being all in the UNC system, we have some great tools that we all share and utilize amongst each other. Many of our schools have something like a net price calculator or a cost of attendance available on our financial aid websites that will allow you to get a very specific price point for how much that would cost, attending UNCW or attending ECU or UNCG for the full academic year. All right, so if you have questions about that and how financially feasible it may be, definitely check out some of their tools. They're really, really in-depth, and they can get you a really good idea of what you may pay. I know a lot of students also have questions about scholarships, whether that's need-based or merit. All of our schools will likely operate on a slightly different kind of system, but know that there's plenty of scholarships available for students, both in-house at each institution, as well as outside, or what we call third-party scholarships, all right? And if you explore these websites, we encourage you, especially when it comes to financial aid and scholarships, start this process earlier rather than later, okay? As all public institutions here, we, receive funding from certain, organizations and institutions across the state, but that funding typically dries up relatively quickly, all right? And it is competitive. So we encourage students to be aware of the deadlines, be aware of the application processes earlier. That way you can be prepared to go into that process and be more competitive when it comes to potentially getting one of those scholarships, all right? And in terms of the financial aid amount and the requirements and what you need to do to maintain those scholarships can likely all be found on these websites as well. The last thing that I'll say, and I think hopefully Cornisha and Stone will laugh at me with this one, but keep in mind that oftentimes the financial aid office at many universities may be different from the admissions office, okay? And sometimes it's faster to get a response, or more accurate even, to get a response from a financial aid counselor as opposed to admissions counselor like one of the three of us. So if you do go on here, you can find contact information for the financial aid department specifically. At UNCW, we actually have counselors that are broken down alphabetically, and you can do a Zoom call similar like this. You could email them, and if you have specific questions, maybe about specific aid coming in, a scholarship, military benefits, whatever that may be, you can contact them and get some really accurate and fast information. All right, so keep that in mind, and there's plenty of information in terms of contact on our websites. The last thing I want to touch on before handing it over to Stone is a little bit about kind of visiting campus in this day and age. And I know that right now has kind of been a struggle, but know that lots of the universities, including UNCW, UNCG, and ECU, have lots of new resources and ways that we're exploring this more virtual space now. All of our universities have a virtual tour, and usually you can just Google UNCW virtual tour or ECU virtual tour and find those direct resources. Hopefully those give you a great first step into exploring campus, but we understand why students may want a little bit more than just kind of a virtual tour. So in the meantime, lots of our universities are developing more what we call our virtual programming or virtual resources. We will likely, a lot of us will have open houses this upcoming fall where you can interact with students online, talk to faculty, talk to staff around campus. Many of us already have started implementing virtual programming in the sense of webinars like this, interviews with current students, interviews with faculty, and general videos of the campus. And many of these are posted on our admissions visit websites now. Okay, we'll be continuing to update these and implement more and more as we go through the fall. So we encourage you to contact your admissions offices for the schools that you're interested in and learn about these experiences. I know a lot of students want to get on campus, and we hope that can come sooner rather than later, I should say. But in the meantime, there's some wonderful resources here that can give you even potentially more of an insight into specific opportunities. And those would be great things to touch on, in an application or help you narrow down your college search. So make sure to keep in mind that there's lots of opportunities for things on the website that may elicit a little bit more interest from you, and then be able to use that in your application as well. I use an example here of ours, but I know that Cornisha and Stone have examples of their own, of these virtual websites. If you usually just Google UNCG virtual programs or UNCW virtual programs, we have lists and pages here of all of our great, virtual resources, videos, interviews, virtual programming like I spoke about. So make sure to check these out. These are a great time of the year to get involved with these. And if you have some slow time over the next couple of weeks / months, there's some really great videos that we've all put on these websites that hopefully you'll find interesting as well. And I think that's it for me. I'll turn it over to Stone here.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Paul. So what you've heard so far from Cornisha and Paul is how to apply to a university, or how to look up different admissions requirements, or how to find different resources such as financial aid scholarships, research opportunities, and other academic activities that you can participate in on campus. But one of the important things that you may find would be campus resources designed for students who require additional needs, accommodations, or who just learn differently and need some assistance getting all of those resources and opportunities set up for you, right? So what I'm going to do is talk a little bit about our Office of Accessibility Resources and Services, but do note that just like UNC Greensboro, UNC Wilmington, and East Carolina University will also have their own offices for resources and other things like that. And you can easily search it similarly to how we're going to do it on our webpage. So you'll notice on the screen that you see here, we have a search bar similar to what Paul was talking about when looking for research opportunities. You can pretty much search anything here. It works similarly to a Google search, and you can actually search things that are on this specific site, or you can search anything that is housed within the uncg.edu domain. So first, you're going to go to uncg.edu. You'll be brought to a page that looks similar to this. A lot of the photos that you'll see rotate periodically throughout the duration of your time on that page. So you may not necessarily see this image of the student here, but do note that you are on the right page, right? So what we're going to do is type in resources here, and you can see that highlighted with the red box, and we're gonna click go. And that's gonna take us to our next page, which is the results page. And so everything under the sun pertaining to resources as it ties to UNC Greensboro, you will find listed here. So you can see already it's pretty daunting. You type in resources and you're brought up with about 21,000, 22,000 results, okay? Usually the ones at the top are going to be the most likely selection for you. And that just so happens to be the case for us today. So by typing in resources, you'll see that our Office of Accessibility Resources and Services page is the first hit. You'll see that outlined in red. And so what we're going to do is click on that, and that will bring us to our next page. And so you'll see I have two pages listed here. The one on the left is actually going to be our resources homepage. And you can see tons of updates, news, and different links to other more specific resources on this top bar here. What we're going to do is click on Student Services, which is actually going to take us to the right-hand side of our slide here. This page is going to be the Student Services page. Now, you'll notice a couple different things. You'll see a toolbar on the left-hand side with easy-to-click resources and links, and then you'll also see highlighted in gold down at the bottom, register here. So at UNC Greensboro, as well as UNC Wilmington and ECU, accommodations are something that you will need to request, and you'll need to self-identify as a student who needs additional accommodations or different resources to help you succeed at whatever institution you enroll in. So that's going to be a little different than how it works in high school, where you may have an action plan and you may have a school counselor who works closely with you to help you identify what resources you need. It is a little bit different at the university level. Once you get to college or university, we tend to assume that you are very much aware of what resources you need. And we leave that up to you to identify yourself as needing those resources. Everything is confidential and kept within that office. So you won't have anybody bothering you or reaching out to you, pressuring you, or putting any kind of time constraints on you as you progress through your collegiate career, okay? So just note that that is something that you'll need to self-identify. But as I mentioned before, it's super easy just by searching through our respective websites. And I imagine that both UNCW and ECU will have very easy to identify links for registering for resources and accommodations. But you'll also see a list of other things that can include. So when we talk about accommodations, that's everything from alternative testing to adaptive technology. If you need to advocate for a specific resource or specific assistance, there are opportunities for that as well as interpreters and translators, amongst many other resources. So once you're on that page, you may wonder, well, okay, what do I need to do to self-identify? You'll click on our voluntary disclosure form, which you'll see located at the bottom of the left-hand side of the slide. And what that's going to do is bring you to an authentication or student login. So I imagine this is also true of our other universities here with us today. But you will be asked to log in with your UNCG credentials so that we can make sure that you're taken to a secure area where your information will be kept privately and safely so that you can observe it, as well as our resources office. So do note that until you enroll and you actually create your student account, you will not be able to apply or identify yourself for these accommodations. But once you do have your login information, you'll be able to access it immediately. And the second thing I wanted to talk about is how to reach out and contact someone from our respective admissions offices. So at each one of our institutions, we are going to have a web page with each of our counselors' contact information listed, but let's just go ahead and walk you through it so you can get a better idea of how that's going to work. So again, we're going to utilize that toolbar. And again, just as Paul mentioned, I use this almost daily when looking up things. Contrary to popular belief, admissions counselors don't always have all of the answers on hand. And so frequently we will look things up as well. But what you can do is type in admissions, and we're going to go back to that results page and see what comes up. So we have our number one hit, UNCG admissions, our Office of Undergraduate Admissions page. We're going to go ahead and click on that link because it seems to be the one most pertinent to what we're doing now. All right, that's going to take you to our UNCG admissions webpage here, and you will see a toolbar at the top with a couple drop-down menus. So if you hover over Discover UNCG, you'll see this drop-down box pop up below. You're going to want to click on Our Staff. And so what Our Staff is going to do is take you to our staff page, which you can see on the right-hand side. And you can find contact information for our Director of Undergraduate Admissions, our Senior Associate Director, as well as other supervisors and individual counselors. We are currently at UNC Greensboro doing an overhaul of our counselor and staff page. So it may look a little different, but the steps of getting to the page will be the same. Once you get to that page, you can click on any of our counselors. You'll be provided with a short bio telling you a little bit about who we are and what we do, the counties and territories that we serve, contact information such as email address or texting number, so you can text our office and get a near instantaneous response. So I highly recommend that if you're looking for some quick answers. But you'll also be able to click on a map. So maybe you don't know what counselor you're looking for. The easiest way will be to click on that map. And again, I do not have a visual to show you today because it is still in production. But once we launch that, you'll be able to click on your specific county and it'll take you straight to the counselor page, which you can then utilize for reaching out to us directly, as well as scheduling one-on-one virtual visits, which will kind of be similar to how a walk-in would look if you were to come to campus and walk into our office. And I'm sure, as I mentioned before, that UNC Wilmington and ECU's pages are very similar to this. So at any point, if you want to reach out to your counselor, or if you want to reach out to myself, Paul, or Cornisha to just tell us how much you loved our presentation today and how much of a phenomenal job we did presenting to you, by all means, you can do that as well. But Paul, I believe that is it for my portion, so we can go ahead and move on.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Stone. We just have a few wrap-up points here, and then we really want to spend, the rest of the time that we have today to answer questions from you all. But in terms of getting you oriented with our websites, hopefully this just gives you a small taste of all of the amazing resources that we have available on all of our websites. Okay, so there's so much that you have access to. I know that sometimes opening up a website for one of our universities can be quite daunting, and there's so much information there, it might even be overwhelming. But hopefully simple tools like going into a specific website or tabs or using the search bar like we've talked about can help you get started. And from there, it allows you to open up your opportunities much more. We kind of all came together and came up with kind of 4 general, recommendations that we have, when it terms of using your website, especially now in this day and age, towards bettering your application. And our first point there is searching for research and extracurricular activities that interest you. Okay, with the amount of universities that there are across the country as is, as well as the amount of actual clubs that are at each of these universities, there's hundreds of thousands likely of different choices you can select from. And Cornisha touched on it a little bit, but you want to definitely make sure that when you're starting your college search process, you're finding universities that not only match your academic interests and some of your other general interests, but also ones that have research opportunities or clubs or musical interests, sports that you're interested in as well. That's a very important part of, a campus community. And we definitely want you all to feel comfortable on the campus that you choose. And every single campus is going to have a slightly different feel when it comes to those certain things. So make sure to even go to our websites and search, clubs or groups or something like that. And if you're really looking for something specific, you want to make sure that that university can offer that for you. The second point that we have there is gathering in-depth information to use for your application, and specifically for your application writing, okay? Right now, for any seniors that are in the call today, we encourage students to have some of that research built into their application. So if you've gone to our website and you found that we have a really in-depth program at this university that you're interested in, or maybe that there's a specific club, like an a cappella group that you're interested in, maybe you came and saw a show, something along those lines, you could touch on that in your application essay, and that would show admissions counselors like Stone, Cornisha, and I that you've done some research and that level of interest is already there. And that's a really good start to your application. Okay. Many of our essay prompts will ask you, why are you interested in ECU, or why are you interested in UNCG or UNC Wilmington? And these are great opportunities for you to demonstrate that you've done a little bit of your homework already, and you've either been to campus and have an authentic connection with our university, or you've researched some programs online and found something that you want to get, have that potential connection with. So definitely feel like you can use some of these resources to strengthen your application, especially when it comes to your writing. Our third point there is, locating contacts for people. This is huge, and Stone touched on it. I think all three of us actually kind of touched on this a little bit about getting in touch with the right person. And oftentimes the right person means that you'll get better information more quickly. And that's certainly important, especially for seniors that are, working towards a deadline. If you have questions about a specific program or about, financial aid, hopefully our website can navigate you to those specific resources and those specific representatives that can help with those questions. When in doubt, your admissions representative is a good place to start. We usually can get you to the right department. But if you have very in-depth questions, we actually may recommend that you go ahead and contact, someone in, an academic department or somebody in, our financial aid office in order to get you the most helpful information possible. And finally, I'm sure you've already heard plenty of this from your counselors and teachers and such, but we know that, students aren't likely to visit a lot of our campuses in person right now, but that does not mean that you have a lack of ability to, explore our other resources. And like I say, a lot of us have been really renovating and updating a lot of these virtual webinars and videos and such, and we plan to have a lot more coming in the fall. StriveScan, hopefully you've been aware of all of the great, presentations that are available these next few weeks. We're really excited about that. A number of us will be participating in other ones as well, so make sure to check that list. And like I say, at the very least, all of our websites will have lots of these presentations linked, as well as additional ones as we plan events for the upcoming fall semester. So I know I want to be cognizant of time. We have, I think, about 10 minutes left, and Cindy might be able to correct us there. But we wanted to open it up for questions here. And we have also our email addresses on the screen here. If by chance you have a very specific question for a very specific person at a specific school, we might encourage you to just go ahead and email us. But if you have questions that are relatively general and you think other people may be interested in hearing as well, feel free to use that Q&A feature in the Zoom call here. And we'd be happy to answer those questions, whether it's about anything that we've covered on our slides here today, or if it's a general question about kind of navigating a college website or starting that whole college application process. And Cornisha and Stone, if there's anything that you want to add, feel free to add now.
Just want to chime in. You all are doing perfect with time. I did see that you had one question in the Q&A. So whoever would like to go ahead and take that away, go ahead.
Yeah, I can take it away if no one else minds. So our first question is, if a student is interested in a particular department, can they have a chance to talk to a professor in that department, or post-COVID, actually sit in on a class? How would the student access those opportunities? So I can answer first, just from our university perspective, and then everybody else can chime in, or definitely feel free to unmute and jump in whenever you guys need to interject anything. But So basically, the way it's going to work is, yes, to answer your first question, you do have the opportunity to talk to professors, and that's probably true at all three of our institutions. You can reach out to undergraduate admissions, and we can connect you ourselves with somebody that might be able to best assist you, or you can go to our webpage or any of our web pages and go to that search bar and type in the specific department you want. So such as Paul demonstrated earlier, you can type in an academic program or a department. You can find the web page for that department. And for all of our web pages, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll actually find contact information in the form of phone numbers, emails, text lines, and you can find that general information, or if you dig a little deeper, you can actually find the contact information for individual professors and you can reach out to them directly. So this is probably true for all of our schools, but I know our professors love talking to prospective students to get an idea of who's interested in the program, and it can help them sort of encourage you in your application process, as well as provide you with any additional information you may not know about that program. So post-COVID, sitting in on a class, that is something we did before, and it's something we look forward to doing again in the future. At this time, we don't have a physical classroom sit-in, but we are working closely with our academic departments to try to figure out the best way to do that virtually. And so if Paul or Cornelia want to chime in on maybe how that's working at their institutions, or they can kind of double down on that, by all means, feel free to jump in. But as far as coming across those opportunities, again, you can reach out to undergraduate admissions directly, or you can reach out to the department directly by finding their contact information on their departmental webpage.
Stone, I think you did a phenomenal job answering that question. I would just also mention that most of our institutions are going to do fall virtual open houses, and you'll have the option to really break off into department, and department chairs as well as instructors will be represented. So I will encourage you to visit the college's websites that you're interested in, and then sign up for those virtual open houses opportunities. That'll be a great way to explore the degrees as well as instructors and professors and department chairs, and then also academic advisors for the department. So definitely encourage you guys to participate in that.
Ditto to all of that and more. Their answers were perfect. Exactly the same at UNCW. We hope that our fall open houses that we'll have virtually will allow you to connect with some of those faculty and answer those questions. And we have offered some of those visitation-like programs in the past. So just stay posted, like I say, on our visit websites. And as soon as we start to have plans on returning to campus, we'll make sure to make those clear there as well. Unless anyone has a Stone or Kanisha have a question, I'm going to jump in and touch on the next question, which was, do schools have good research? Do our schools, I'm presuming, have good research labs? And before I answer that, I'm going to do a quick little promo for StriveScan. Actually, this Wednesday, I'm involved with an undergraduate research panel, and it's not necessarily with ECU and UNCG, but we can certainly touch on that today as well. But just in case you're interested in undergraduate research, we have a full panel on that coming on Wednesday. I believe it is at 9 a.m. if my schedule is accurate. So check that out if you're interested in undergraduate research. Should be a really awesome presentation. I think I can go ahead and say, though, that all of us do have research opportunities on campus. When you talk about labs, you may be looking towards a science program. I'm presuming maybe potentially that. And each of our programs may have, different focuses when it comes to sciences. UNCW might think of, more, outside and coastal engineering and coastal sciences, things like that. ECU obviously has a really strong, medical program and such along those lines. So I won't speak for Stone and Cornelia as much, but I can promise you that we definitely have very, very up-to-date and modern facilities at UNCW that undergraduates do have access to. That's the big thing to ask as you go through the college application process. Many of these universities may have the facilities, but what is the likelihood of an undergraduate such as you all, getting involved in those facilities? And at UNCW, that's a very likely possibility. So I'll hand it over to Stone or Kanisha if they want to add anything, but definitely check out that webinar on Wednesday.
Great answer, Paul. I will say that we're commonly known as a research institution, especially in the healthcare and medical fields, and over 20% of undergraduates at our institution participate, and most of it is funded. So also look at those options. How much of this is funded if I do participate in extracurricular research? So definitely great answer, Paul.
Yeah, to just touch on what Cornelia said, we are going to have a lot of overlapping research opportunities, but each one of our institutions, whether it be because of where we're located in North Carolina or because of the programs we offer, we're also going to have very different and unique research opportunities. So be sure to look at all schools' web pages. You can never do too much research, I guess, when looking into what schools you want to go to, and just make sure that, you know, whatever university it is that you're interested in, they have what you want to study. So you know, at UNC Greensboro, you can find research opportunities at the undergraduate level fairly easily. And similarly to UNCW's webpage, we do have our own webpage for those research opportunities as well. So like I said, you know, just research. Don't just go to the first school you apply to. Definitely get as much information as possible for an informed decision.
Awesome. Our next question is, how do students find internships? That's a great question as well. To start, I would say, you know, utilize the tools we talked about today. You can just search internships in a lot of our, you know, search bars. We may have, you know, tabs on a number of our websites as well. I would like to venture out and say most of us have a career center or some type of professional development office on campus, and it might be slightly called something different. At UNCW, it's called our Career Center, and they house all things, you know, internship, job, you know, student employment. So there's lots of those opportunities, and that would be something that I'm sure a number of our other panels will cover throughout the next couple of weeks as well. But at UNCW and likely at UNCG and ECU, that is something that an office that is likely pretty forefront in your first couple of years on campus, that you'll either, you know, have some type of programming with or become very familiar with the types of resources they have access to. Many of our universities now use, you know, online job databases, so you can start looking for internships and jobs, part-time jobs, even full-time jobs after you graduate, and you have access to a lot of those resources even after you graduate from the institution. So there's lots of great things there, and it's not just necessarily a job portal, but it could be simple things like resume cleanup. It could be things along the lines of, you know, practicing for a job interview, dressing for a job interview, whatever that may be. They can help answer a lot of those questions and help make sure that you feel confident going into an application for some type of job or internship, or, you know, finding those opportunities to begin with. And Kernisha and Stone, feel free to add to that.
Really quickly, I know there's one more question, but also check with your departmental, so your academic advisors and then your instructors. A lot of times as a previous accounting major, they came directly to my instructors for different opportunities, so keep that in mind as well.
Yeah, and I will jump in and I'll say really quickly, because I know we are running out of time and do have one more question, but at UNC Greensboro, we actually have an app called Handshake. So if you know what LinkedIn is, it's similar to that. And if you don't know, I'm sure you will learn soon enough. So Handshake is basically a way to find on-campus and off-campus internships, as well as summer jobs and careers after graduation. So definitely utilize that. But like Paul and Kernisha said, that's going to be housed within our career development office. So definitely check out that office at our respective schools for sure.
Awesome. Fantastic. I think our last question is, how is a virtual open house different from a regular admission session? And that's a great question. I think all of our answers might be slightly different, but to start off more general, an open house, and likely for many of us, this might be the first time that our university is using a virtual format as opposed to an in-person format. But that opportunity will allow you to maybe attend multiple sessions for the same school. So think of an in-depth session where here, you know, Kernisha, Stone, and I are spending 45 minutes across all of our universities. A virtual open house would allow you to have multiple webinars, multiple information sessions about specific, you know, departments or opportunities, you know, academic clubs, whatever that may be, at that one institution. So it's a much more kind of fine-tooth comb throughout what your potential experiences might be on any of our campuses. All right. I know for UNCW, we're planning an open house in the early of October. We hope to have almost a 3-day process where each day will have a different theme, and you can attend a variety of different sessions regarding that theme, whether it's around the application, about living on campus, or succeeding on campus. So look for those to have a little bit more in-depth material about, you know, some of the questions, you know, what would UNCW's research facilities look like? You know, what would ECU's, you know, specific campus life activities look like? We'd be able to cover a lot more detail in those sessions. And so that would provide you an opportunity to dive into that. A general admission session, like I say, might be a little bit more broad, where these would allow for a little bit more in-depth information.
Yeah, I second everything Paul said. And I just also want to point out that, moving to virtual has actually had some of its benefits. So I think many of us in the admissions world would agree that this is really like the democratization of the application process and getting information. So never before in the history of applying have you had the opportunity to meet almost instantaneously with an admissions counselor or get information, have it recorded for you to pull up as a resource later on. So definitely take advantage of this rare opportunity and reach out to as many schools as you can, talk to as many admissions counselors as you can, talk to as many professors at different schools as you can, and really just try to utilize the virtual tool as much as possible while everybody is also doing it.
Fantastic. And I think that's about all the time we have, and I'll let maybe Sydney take us down home, but make sure to just stay in touch with us. And if you have any questions after today, you can use our email addresses to get in touch with us.
All right, thank you all so much. I hope that all of our guests, you enjoyed speaking with Paul, Stone, and Cornisha today. I thought they did a great job, but as a reminder, you will get a quick survey as soon as this window closes, so please take the time to answer just 4 quick questions and let us know how everything went today. Also, don't forget to sign up for more sessions. Paul discussed that he will be on an undergraduate research panel on Wednesday if you would like to see him again, and I'm sure Stone and Cornisha will be joining additional sessions as well. So please, please, please don't forget to sign up. And lastly, as a reminder, this recording will be available on the CACRAO website. So I know they shared a lot of information with you. So if there's anything else that you may have forgotten, please, please, please go back to listen and reach out to them for any questions. But on behalf of CACRAO, I just want to thank you for joining us, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day.